Sonic Underground Episode 17, Bug. We see Manic riding a hoverboard above clouds with a beautiful red sky over the lake. Then a robot rises out of the lake and flies after him, shooting lasers from the sky. Then it turns out Sonic's nearby with a rope to throw over and tie to the flying robot. I guess it makes sense he'd be here because he's his brother. So he swings the robot around to save Manic and throws it so it blows up. Sonic hears Sleet telling the robot through a phone thing that used to be part of the robot that the Queen's been spotted somewhere. And Sonic plugs his nose and replies to Sleet, who doesn't figure out it's him from his memorable voice. Manic gets pulled out of the cliff and Sonic says that he's great at surfing thermals, which are apparently the smoke sent out from hot sandy places. Sonia says these wells have been burning for months and wonders why their mom would come to a place like this. Manic drives into something that makes the vehicle bumpy, and it's implied he does this a lot. Eventually a wheel falls off the vehicle because it was such a bumpy ride, but Sonic is nice enough to compliment Manic, because at least he stops the vehicle. We briefly hear some Australian didgeridoo playing, so it turns out the heroes travel all the way to Australia just to go and find their mother. Why would she go here? This place is nowhere near Robotnik. It's good that they have world building by going to places other than Robotropolis, but it doesn't feel as much like world building because it's not specifically stated what the name of the countries they travel to are. This isn't Down Under, this is just generic Australian place. And they went to a desert area, but it's not given a proper name. The only thing different from Arabia is that the people don't get angry and Sonia isn't arrested when she takes off her headdress. Other than that, they're just real world locations. Who cares? The heroes shake hands with the rebel who looks like a bad guy, so if he's actually a hero, that's kinda interesting design-wise. He says with a very boring voice that he and his freedom fighters were bothered by some bugs and he was lucky to get out alive. Sonic wants to check out their village, with Sonia saying the bugs sound icky. Sonic leaves Manic behind for seemingly no reason, and as a consequence, he gets mad and hoverboards away to try to find some flies himself, ignoring Sonia's warning that Sonic's faster than him anyways because he just wants to prove himself to Sonic. I understand his reaction here. I like the music with the flute here. Sonic catches a fly robot in a bottle he apparently got off screen. I wonder if Manic will get himself in danger. A flybot lands on his nose, stinging it, and it makes it grow briefly. And then it turns out the bug hypnotized him into saying he'll report to Robotnik and flying away. Wait, Robotnik built brainwashing bugs? That's super competent and threatening of him. Why doesn't he do this more often? And AOSTH Robotnik showed the same brainwashing capability. Sonic tells the rebel his village was burned and abandoned, and the rebel melodramatically screams no. The rebel tells Sonic about the fake flies and what they're all about. There's a serum that they inject people with. I love that they try better to explain why it brainwashes people. I guess all the flies will be destroyed at the end of the episode, so Robotnik won't end up brainwashing everyone on the planet, getting rid of all the resistance. I mean, that would be overpowered and make it even more bleak. Sleet tells Robotnik that the flies are working as planned, and he's told to find a stealth bot. Dingo brings Manic over to Robotnik, and Sleet points out an invisible sting mark. Well, actually, I like that his nose isn't overly large, because that would look stupid and treat me like an idiot who needs to see someone looking different to know they're brainwashed, like an Archie in AOSTH. Anyways, Robotnik puts another flybot in Manic's satchel or whatever to increase the amount of time that he'll be brainwashed, and says that he'll drop him back in the outback and the flybot will brainwash him again, which you need to do because the flybot brainwashing is pathetically temporary. I guess I need to balance it somehow. Manic returns to Sonic, not remembering anything about his brainwashing when that's not how memory works, but whatever. He's shown a cannon that will blast the flybots out of the sky by the oil wells at dawn. Sonia complains about potentially losing her beauty sleep and then says she's just kidding. Then at night, out of nowhere, Manic goes from perfectly fine to brainwashed again when he's asleep, when we didn't see the Flybot sting him again. He hides behind a rock and calls Robotnik with a phone. Then he returns to bed to sleep off screen. I doubt he got replaced by an infiltrator that acted like normal Manic. Sonic sees some robots heading towards him and runs away, leaving fire behind him to warn his friends and have their vehicle start driving. Manic gets back into his trance as Sonia sees him leave the vehicle, ignoring her. He calls Robotnik saying that the heroes know they're coming. Fortunately, Sonia knows about the Flybot brainwashing and figures out what happened immediately. Then Manic shows up to Sonic unbrainwashed. Then Sonic says he's heard that sound before, and Manic is re-brainwashed. Sonia says it's coming from his fanny pack, as she calls it, and she opens it and the Flybot flies out. Then the Flybot stings them all and makes them brainwashed. No, of course not. Instead, Sonic plays the guitar to laser it, being very accurate with that laser, and it explodes in green blood. Oh wait, that's probably the brainwashing serum, never mind. I guess it doesn't have any oil, just green serum? And Manic says he feels like roadkill. I guess the serum was a little poisonous. The Australian makes a plan to lure the villains to them. I hate that he's hard to understand. Not just because of his accent, but he talks so fast and so bored. Anyways, after a pointless song, Sonic taunts the destroyed Flybots, and it gets struck by lightning a whole bunch in a lightning field. I like that that concept is being used again. And yet he's not injured at all. Well, he's burned, and he acts like he's fine and then screams. My point is he probably won't have to go to the hospital after this, which would really suck because they're freedom fighters and fugitives, so if they had to go to the hospital, they wouldn't be allowed to be treated, and they'd be completely screwed. So, I guess he has rings in his aura, but they still make him injured and in pain for a little while, and then heal him. Then for an unforeshadowed happy ending, it turns out that the rebel reunites with some of his friends. Okay, whatever. There's no confirmation they died or anything, so this isn't contradicting anything. I'm just surprised they're alive and they bothered to give this guy a happy ending. And then Manic predictably pretends to be brainwashed again, and his siblings actually laugh instead of calling him out on the horribly unfunny dark humor, which he did before, with joking that he'd sell their medallions and betray them. In this episode, after the heroes get lured all the way to Australia in the hopes of finding their mother because she'll go to the ends of the earth to avoid them apparently, thankfully the plot takes an impressively competent turn for Robotnik because he built Flybots that can brainwash people with their stinger serums. So these things could have wiped out the last of the resistance with brainwashing. And while the serum is only temporary, he can put the Flybots in satchels on people so they can keep being stung. I hate that whenever Manic was brainwashed, he spoke in monotone and walked like a zombie in a trance. Not only is that stupid meta logic, like, they won't realize he's brainwashed if he doesn't act like this, but it's also, if everyone acted like that, progress would screech to a halt. I can only assume the serum was only a temporary measure to make people walk over to Robotnik to be roboticized. Or at least walk over to local roboticizers since they might live really far away from him. Fleet said that the brainwashed people were restrained and roboticized in an hour. So Robotnik got some victories. But yeah, it would have been more interesting if Manic kept acting like normal except he was working for Robotnik. It's like paranoia fuel. It was really interesting seeing him act like this, showing how things could be if he was a traitor to them. Like he could be evil like a certain other green hedgehog. And they don't hold it against him because he was just brainwashed. And because of good writing, they all know he was just brainwashed right from the start and don't have a huge, big drama falling out with him where they don't believe him about his amnesia over the whole thing. The heroes just missed their mother yet again, but at least they stopped a really dangerous, world-threatening plan of Robotnik's in the meantime. But since all they had to do was lure Flybots to a cannon and lightning field to destroy them all, it wouldn't work as a finale because it was a really easy victory that all took place during a terrible song that I skipped. Since I skipped it, I'm not sure what exactly happened. Important stuff shouldn't happen during the songs. The Flybots just followed them somewhere and then blew up. The Australian rebel was really boring and unentertaining, by the way. It was hard to make out what he was saying with his bored acting and overly fast speech and accent, and he has no personality at all.